Welcome to Q&ASMR. Hello, I'm glad you can make it. These questions are brought to me by listeners like you. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy. Our first question comes from Delta Chief. How many games were released for the Nintendo 64? You know, I remember seeing something about this a long time ago. It was something about there not being all that many games released for this console, so let's see how many were actually released. If I recall, it was around 100? Okay. My memory was very wrong. In total, there were around 388 games released for the N64 between 1996 and 2002. In America, where I'm from, there were 296 games released across those 6 years. That's about 50 games a year on average. List them, you say? Well, okay, but for pronunciation's sake, I'm only doing the 300-ish North American titles. The N64 launched in America with 2 titles in late September of 1996, Pilot Wings 64 and Super Mario 64. By the end of that year, only 6 more titles had been released. Wave Race 64, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey, Killer Instinct Gold, Cruisin' USA, and Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. 1997 was backloaded with releases. Of the 34 games released this year, over half of them were released at the end of the year in October, November, or December. The year started with NBA Hangtime in January, Mario Kart 64 in February, Turok Dinosaur Hunter, Blast Corps, and FIFA Soccer 64 in March, Doom 64 in April, War Gods in May, Hexen and Star Fox 64 in June, and Dark Rift in July. August saw 3 new releases: Tetris Sphere, International Superstar Soccer 64, and GoldenEye 007. September likewise had 3: MRC Multi-Racing Championship, Mace The Dark Age, and Top Gear Rally. And then the holiday season came along with Mischief Makers, F1 Pole Position 64, Clay Fighters 63 1/3, Madden Football 64, NFL Quarterback Club 98, Extreme G, San Francisco Rush Extreme Racing, Duke Nukem 64, Aero Fighters Assault, Automobili Lamborghini, Diddy Kong Racing, WCW vs. NWO World Tour, Wheel of Fortune, Bomberman 64, Wayne Gretzky's 3D Hockey 98, Chameleon Twist, Mortal Kombat Mythologies Sub-Zero, and FIFA Road to World Cup 98. 1998's release schedule looks a lot more modern, with 3 to 10 games coming out each month. They were Robotron 64, Fighter's Destiny, Nagano Winter Olympics 98, NBA In the Zone 98, Olympic Hockey 98, Jeopardy, NHL Breakaway 98, Yoshi's Story, Snowboard Kids, Quake 64, Rampage World Tour, 1080 Snowboarding, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Kobe Bryant in NBA Courtside, Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, Biofreaks, World Cup 98, Bust-A-Move 2 Arcade Edition, Aero Gauge, Forsaken 64, Major League Baseball featuring Ken Griffey Jr., All-Star Baseball 99, Quest 64, Virtual Chess 64, Wetrix, Chopper Attack, Mike Piazza's Strike Zone, Mortal Kombat 4, Banjo-Kazooie, Off-Road Challenge, Mission Impossible, F1 World Grand Prix, Waiale Country Club True Golf Classics, WWF Warzone, International Superstar Soccer 98, Iggy's Wreckin' Balls, Gex 64, Enter the Gecko, Bomberman Hero, GT64 Championship Edition, NASCAR 99, NFL Blitz, Madden NFL 99, Cruisin' World, Deadly Arts, NHL 99, Flying Dragon, Body Harvest, Space Station Silicon Valley, WCW NWO Revenge, F-Zero X, NBA Live 99, Wipeout 64, Dual Heroes, Knife Edge Nose Gunner, NHL Quarterback Club 99, Rush 2 Extreme Racing USA, Twisted Edge Extreme Snowboarding, Glover Extreme G2, Buck Bumble, The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Fox Sports College Hoops 99, Top Gear Overdrive, Milo's Astro Lanes, NHL Breakaway 99, Nightmare Creatures, FIFA 99, NBA Jam 99, Scars, Star Wars Rogue Squadron, Golden Nugget 64, Turok 2 Seeds of Evil, Star Soldier Vanishing Earth, Virtual Pool 64, South Park, and Battle Tanks. 1999 did not let up the pace, and had Magical Tetris Challenge, Castlevania, Penny Racers, Mario Party, WCW Nitro, Snowboard Kids 2, Vigilante 8, California Speed, Beetle Adventure Racing, Triple Play 2000, Micro Machines 64 Turbo, Load Runner 3D, Rampage 2 Universal Tour, Charlie Blast's Territory, Bust-A-Move 99, NHL Blades of Steel 99, All-Star Baseball 2000, NBA In the Zone 99, Chameleon Twist 2, Bottom of the Ninth, Super Smash Bros., Ken Griffey Jr.'s Slugfest, Star Wars Episode 1 Racer, Superman, The New Superman Adventures, A Bug's Life, Fighting Force 64, Shadowgate 64, Trials of the Four Towers, World Driver Championship, Rugrats Scavenger Hunt, Starshot Space Circus Fever, Command and Conquer, Quake 2, Pokemon Snap, Mario Golf, In Fisherman Bass Hunter 64, Monster Truck Madness 64, The New Tetris, NFL Blitz 2000, Revolt, NFL Quarterback Club 2000, All-Star Tennis 99, Hybrid Heaven, WWF Attitude, Duke Nukem 0 Hour, Gauntlet Legends, Madden NFL 2000, Shadow Man, Tonic Trouble, Monaco Grand Prix, NASCAR 2000, Hot Wheels Turbo Racing, V-Rally Edition 99, Goemon's Great Adventure, Road Rash 64, WCW Mayhem, Army Men, Sarge's Heroes, Gex 3, Deep Cover Gecko, Destruction Derby 64, Jet Force Gemini, Knockout Kings 2000, Battle Tanks Global Assault, Winback Covert Operations, Lego Racers, NBA Live 2000, Earthworm Jim 3D, Paperboy, NBA Courtside 2 featuring Kobe Bryant, Rayman 2, The Great Escape, Elmo's Letter Adventure, NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC, Ready to Rumble Boxing, Resident Evil 2, Toy Story 2, Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue, Rocket, Robot on Wheels, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, WWF WrestleMania 2000, Donkey Kong 64, Turok, Rage Wars, Namco Museum 64, Elmo's Number Journey, NBA Jam 2000, Nuclear Strike 64, Space Invaders, Supercross 2000, Top Gear Rally 2, Xena, Warrior Princess, The Talisman of Fate, Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness, South Park, Chef's Love Shack, Armorines, Project Swarm, Asteroids Hyper 64, Roadsters, Bassmasters 2000, Monopoly, Harvest Moon 64, and Brunswick Circuit Pro Bowling. That's 95 games in 99, which makes up almost 1/3 of all games released for the N64 in the US. The year 2000 can't possibly keep that pace up, but it does have some stellar games. Super Bowling, Mario Party 2, Vigilante 8, Second Offense, Ridge Racer 64, Tarzan, ECW Hardcore Revolution, NBA In the Zone 2000, Jeremy McGrath Supercross 2000, South Park Rally, Pokemon Stadium, Hydro Thunder, Cyber Tiger, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, Worms Armageddon, Top Gear Hyperbike, All-Star Baseball 2001, Battlezone Rise of the Black Dogs, Excitebike 64, Perfect Dark, International Track and Field, Bomberman 64 The Second Attack, Indy Racing 2000, StarCraft 64, PGA European Tour, Fighter Destiny 2, Kirby 64 The Crystal Shards, Rally Challenge 2000, Transformers Beast Wars Transmetals, Army Men Air Combat, Carmageddon 64, Daikatana, International Superstar Soccer 2000, Duck Dodgers starring Daffy Duck, Hercules The Legendary Journeys, NFL QB Club 2001, Mario Tennis, Turok 3 Shadow of Oblivion, San Francisco Rush 2049, Madden NFL 2001, Rat Attack, NFL Blitz 2001, Pokemon Puzzle League, Army Men Sarge's Heroes 2, Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, Stunt Racers 64, Ogre Battle 64 Person of Lordly Caliber, Big Mountain 2000, Cruisin' Exotica, The World Is Not Enough, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Tigger's Honey Hunt, Hey You Pikachu, Rugrats in Paris, the movie, Tom and Jerry in Fists of Furry, Mia Hamm Soccer 64, Mickey's Speedway USA, Miss Pac-Man Maze Madness, Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2, Midway's Greatest Arcade Hits Volume 1, WWF No Mercy, Blues Brothers 2000, Banjo-Tooie, Spider-Man, Scooby-Doo Classic Creep Capers, WCW Backstage Assault, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine, Star Wars Episode 1 Battle for Naboo, Donald Duck Quack Attack, and Polaris Snowcross. The Nintendo GameCube was released in 2001, so only 12 games were made for the N64 this year, as companies had begun working on GameCube production by this point. These 12 games were Mega Man 64, Paper Mario, Conker's Bad Fur Day, Aiden Chronicles The First Mage, Pokemon Stadium 2, Dr. Mario 64, Mario Party 3, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, Madden NFL 2002, The Powerpuff Girls Chemical Extraction, Razor Freestyle Scooter, and NFL Blitz Special Edition. Finally, the very last game released for the Nintendo 64 was Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 in 2002. It was released almost exactly 1 year after Pro Skater 2. Well, that was quite nostalgic. What were your favorite games from this list? Leave them in the comments down below. This next question comes from Xavier. Why are most, if not all, cruise lines based outside of the US? A great question. I'm not much of a cruise goer myself, but my gut feeling is simply that there are a lot of other coastal countries especially in the warmer portions of the world where these cruises would invariably be based. To be honest, this feels like a very American question, right? There's a sense in the way that you phrased your question that most cruise lines should be based in the US, and it's weird that they aren't. But that's just my opinion. Let's take a closer look at cruise lines and see how many are actually based in the US. We'll start with the short list of the 5 major cruise line holding companies. 2 of them are based in the US, Royal Caribbean and Norwegian Cruise Line, and 1 has headquarters split between the US and the UK, Carnival. Mediterranean Shipping is based in Switzerland, and TUI is based in Germany. Okay, so that was unhelpful. I guess where the major cruise lines are headquartered wasn't really your question. As for the individual cruise lines, you're right. Most of them are based outside the US. And, as I suspected, this is because many of these cruises don't pass through any US territory, so there's no reason for them to involve us. I will say that the US has the most cruise lines of any one country at 22, which is roughly 1/3 of all cruise lines globally. The next most being the UK at 13, followed by Germany at 4. And these numbers are only for ocean lines. If we look at river cruises, it looks about the same, honestly. The US is outnumbered, but we still operate the most globally with 10, which is about 1/4 of all river cruise lines. Germany comes in second this time with 6, and Switzerland, the UK, and Vietnam all tie for third with 4. Now, in my research, I did also discover that most cruise companies register their boats in countries different from their country of operation. If your question was intended to be more along the lines of, why are American cruise lines operating boats registered in other countries, I can sort of answer that also. Most companies aren't going to come right out and say why they're doing this, so we'll have to speculate a little. The first reason might simply be cost. If the boat or company of origin was purchased in, say, the Bahamas by a German company, the cost of altering that boat's registration from the Bahamas to Germany might be too high to make it worthwhile to the company. The second reason might be safety. The country a boat is registered to is also the flag it will fly while at sea. If the company's country is one that is likely to be targeted for attacks or piracy, it's possible that that company would want to register their boats in a different country to avoid this. The third and probably most realistic reason is taxes and laws. Like the flying of the flag, countries these boats are registered in determines which laws must be obeyed while on board that ship. Similarly, the costs, fees, and taxes associated with operating a vessel like this will also be determined by the country that boat is registered to. So, if you want to keep your profits high, you want to find a country with low tax rates and fees and good laws for your cruise goers. I'm sorry, I can't really get any more specific than that. I hope this was a satisfying answer to your question. Thanks so much for asking. Our last question today comes from Vernon. What do all those fancy wine terms mean? Well, you seem to have stumbled into a weakness of mine. I don't drink, so I have a dearth of random knowledge of alcoholic drink lore. I guess we better just find a list and find out, huh? I'll start with some more broad categorical terms that wine tasting might use, and then we'll go into some terms used for the tasting itself. Varietal, a term meaning a wine made from a single grape variety, as opposed to blend, a term used for wines made by mixing varietal wines. Vintage, the year the grapes were harvested. Aroma, a little obvious, but the smell of a wine, this can be broken down further into primary aroma, the aroma from the grape, typically fruity, floral, or herbal. Secondary aroma, the aromas of the winemaking process, typically smelling of other fermented items like bread, yeast, or cheese rind. And tertiary aroma, the aroma from the aging process. This is where you start to get strange sounding descriptors like, quote from an article I found, notes of vanilla, coconut, baking spices, toasted nuts, cigar box, tobacco, or leather. Body, viscosity, how thick or thin the wine feels in your mouth. Length, how long the flavor lingers after swallowing. Mouthfeel, how the wine feels in your mouth. Smooth, velvety, dry, or rough are common terms here. Tannins are a group of chemical compounds that don't affect flavor, but do give a puckering sensation when drunk and can leave a bitter taste in the mouth. Flabby, a wine that lacks acidity to balance the flavor. Racy, a high acidity wine. Supple, a wine with a soft mouthfeel. Baked, a high ABV, or alcohol by volume, wine that can taste of baked or stewed fruit. Chewy, a wine with tannins that are not overwhelming. Closed, a wine with very little smell. Bouquet, the layers of smells and aromas perceived in the wine. Dry, a wine with little sweetness. Effervescent, a term meaning sparkling or carbonated wine. Fat, a full body, viscous wine. Corked, a wine with cork taint. Cork taint. Occasionally, the cork messes with the flavor of the wine it is corking. Cloying, a wine that is sticky or sickly sweet. Brilliance, high levels of clarity in the wine. Fallen over, a wine that is already past its prime. Hot, an overly alcoholic wine. Heavy, a very alcoholic wine. Full, a wine with a heavy body, usually due to its alcohol content. Finish, the taste of a wine after swallowing. Green, typically a wine made from unripe fruit. Nose, the smell of a wine. Jammy, a rich fruit flavor but lacking tannins. Hollow, a wine lacking a sense of fruit. Hard, a wine with too many tannins. Reticent, a wine with not much aroma or bouquet. Legs, when swirling wine in a glass, these are the tracts of liquid that cling to the sides of a glass. Powerful, a wine with a high level of alcohol, but not one that is excessively alcoholic. Typicity, how typical the wine is for its varietal. Toasty, a sense of char or smoke from the barrel it was aged in. Soft, a wine that is not overly tannic. Tannic, a wine with aggressive tannins, typified by a drying sensation in the mouth. Rich, a sweet wine that is not overpowering. There are many, many more words used to describe wine's many flavors. I left out the overly obvious ones, such as vinegary means it smells like vinegar, but this is still just a small sample of what's out there. Thank you for that elegant question. Thank you again to Delta Chief, Xavier, and Vernon. If you would like to have your question answered in a video, leave it in a comment below this one. If you would prefer to ask your question a little more privately, you can email me your question at questionsandasmr at gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more questions like these every week. Thanks again for listening. Goodbye for now.